Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the IDSA webinar on the IDSA logistics community. My name is Sebastian Steinmus. I'm the lead architect of the IDSA, and today Martin Böhmer, the head of the Department on Information Logistics and Precision Support Systems at the Fraunhofer Institute for Material Flow and Logistics, and the managing director of the Fraunhofer Innovation Center for Logistics and IT, together with Christian Tummel from DB Schenker, will present the IDSA logistics community. As you all know, the International Data Spaces established a trusted peer-to-peer network to foster the data economy. For more detail on the ideas of the IDS, get in contact with us or listen to the IDSA webinar that are available on our YouTube channel. If you're going to join our webinar today, you can ask your questions afterwards in the questions and answers block. You can ask them directly in the question and answers block or write them down in the chat. If you join our webinar on YouTube, just comment below or come back to us via email or give us a call. If you like the webinar, just hit the like button below. So Martin and Christian, I'm very happy to have you here today for your talk on the IDSA logistics community. So please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Sebastian, for the kind introduction. As I have been introduced already, I'll keep it short. As Sebastian said, Martin Böhmer, working at the Fraunhofer Institute for Material Flow and Logistics, and I'm pleased to introduce the logistics community today. Yeah, so Christian, would you like to introduce yourself briefly?
Hello, everybody. Also from my side, this is Christian Tummel. Yeah, I'm working for Schenker, also connected in the IDSA logistics community from our side. So I'm now attending the IDS around 1 year, I think. Yeah, and I'm the representative guy from Schenker for everything related to the IDS. So we are currently developing or in discussion for logistics use cases, which is Martin introducing in the next couple of minutes, I think. So if there are any questions regarding our involvement in the IDS or the logistics community, I'm the responsible guy.
Okay, thank you, Christian. So what's on the agenda today for this webinar? It's first of all to just outline why at all we should consider the industrial data space in logistics as a brief introduction. Then particularly about the logistics community, what are the goals of the community, and who is this community for actually, who are the current members of that community, and what does the community work on, and how is the mode of working. And most important of all, how can you get involved? All right, so by the end of this webinar, you should have answers to all of these questions. I'm going to step you through these questions. After each of the questions, we are open for your questions. As Sebastian said in the introduction, you're very welcome then to just involve yourself by just saying your name and posing your questions, or just using the chat functionality. In the end, we also have plenty of time for your questions, so you might as well just wait to ask your questions until the end. So that's up to you. Also keep in mind that we have Fraunhofer and DB Schenker here as the hosts, so you are very welcome to ask basic questions about the IDS in logistics, but also questions that are particularly related to DB Schenker as a community member and head of the community and their involvement. All right, let's start into our topic. So, as the introduction, why consider the industrial data space in logistics? I'm going to get a brief introduction, and maybe, Christian, you can comment on that from the Schenker side. So on a general level, managing data will be a significant success factor in logistics if it hasn't become now already. So data, as you may know, is means to optimize supply chains and collaborate with suppliers and customers. But if you look at the data world in logistics, there's a large number of islands. So everything is scattered, and data is rarely used in cross-company or collaborative processes. And if it is, it's always a burden to get these processes up and running. Not necessarily only on a technical level, but also on an organizational level. Yeah, but that particularly relates to one of the key features and points that the IDS addresses, which is on the one hand trust and sovereignty, data sovereignty. So a huge impediment in sharing data across company and using it in logistics scenarios is the loss of control. Just imagine you give away your inventory levels or capacity plans. That could really weaken your competitive position. Because nowadays, if you give it away, it's gone and you don't know what happens with it. So this is where the IDS kicks in. So to overcome that and to have the owner of the data in full control, even outside their own company's boundaries, this is a huge potential from the Fraunhofer perspective to facilitate logistics processes, digitization in logistics, and collaborate and optimize supply chains. So, as you may know, the industrial data space is cross-industry concept, so it's not really specific to a certain domain. So, what is actually needed in each of these domains that in the context of the industrial data space are also called verticalizations, is a specific instantiation of the general industrial data space concept. So an answer to the question, what is particularly needed or what is particularly different if you apply the industrial data space in the logistics domain? And what comes out of it is some sort of logistics data space that really is tailored to the data sharing demands and requirements of the logistics domain. And obviously, this is an effort that cannot be done by a single or two companies, but should involve a variety of organizations as logistics service providers, talking about 3 or 4 PLs, like DB Schenker is, industrial and commercial enterprises or industry associations, and also research organizations, just to, to have not just a proprietary thing to do, but come up with some sort of standard. So maybe, Christian, you want to add on this from a Schenker perspective?
Maybe one more point from my side. If we look out of our position, so only the 3PL or 4PL perspective, yeah, we don't really have the need of using such kind of technology here. But if you look out of the customer perspective, which has a supply chain where a couple of several different logistics service providers are involved and have a look over the full supply chain, that is the point where the logistics approach in the IDS is quite interesting, because every of the data is important for the customer. For example, to estimate some kind of ETA, expected time of arrival, impacts on the particular supply chain. So every component is important, and to get a full view over the full supply chain, that might be a good technology to shape the supply chain and its components in one model and do analytics on that. Yeah. And that's why we are interested in this technology as well.
All right, yeah. Let's move on to the next question to be answered. What are the goals of the logistics community? There are 3 major goals that are taken up by the community. The first goal, as I already said, obviously is the adoption of the general industrial data space for the logistics domain. So possible activities comprise the specification of a logistics data space. There is a general reference architecture document out there that you can download on the IDS website, which is the general architecture. And one could think of a specific adoption, maybe additions or changes that need to be made to that reference architecture to apply it in logistics. So that would actually form the specification of a logistics data space. So that is one possible result. Another possible result, maybe even more important, are particular logistics use cases, so real life use cases where the IDS is implemented at industry partners like DB Schenker, or more position papers to promote the use of IDS in logistics, or even thinking about entire new business models that can be built on data. So actually part of our journey is to rethink the role of logistics and the services offered by the increasing importance of data. So this is where thinking about new business models might be relevant and a possible result of the work at the community. So the opportunities for you to join the community as a member would be that you can take part in developing specific concepts and implementations, and also what's in it for you, you can develop so together with other companies, team up together specific concepts specific to your organizations and develop your implementation and bring the IDS to your organization. That would obviously be an opportunity for you. Second goal is a networking aspect. So the community tries to connect IDS users from the logistics domain. So possible activities include best practice presentations of success stories, presentations of implemented use cases at logistics companies, and yeah, just good old networking to connect with others, exchange experiences, yeah, and as I said, team up together. So finding peers and partners and exchange of experience is an opportunity for you, which is kind of appealing from my perspective. In both cases, first, when you are new to the IDS, you'll find experienced partners and companies that have gone through the journey before and can share their knowledge and experiences like DB Schenker or even others. I will come to the others. But you can also, if you feel like you have been in the data sharing business for ages, you might get new insights from the peers and their experiences. So I think that's a valid opportunity for both types of members. Last but not least, the third goal of the community is to not lose the connection to ongoing and current research activities. Actually, it's the opposite. It's to involve in these activities. So at Fraunhofer and, for example, at TNO at the Netherlands and in Finland at VTT, there's a couple of research institutes all over Europe that currently improve and further develop the IDS concepts, and it's pretty important for organizations from the logistics domain to keep up with these developments and to get involved in this. So this is why we have this exchange aspect in the community. So on the one hand, we can identify practical requirements from your logistics practice that will feed into the research projects. And on the other hand, we can get, let's say, one of the first views on the actual results of new research projects, so new concepts, new architectures, new implementations could be presented in the community and be evaluated by you. So this is obviously a chance to be one of the first ones to know about these new IDS research results. So actually, this is also a chance for you, together with teaming up and the adoption of the IDS, to engage in these research topics and to become a member of research consortia, and also apply for funded research that will fund your way into the IDS and the implementation of the IDS in your company. So the logistics community is a good platform to find peers to do that, and also to let's say attach or build up on current ongoing research, so that you don't have to start from scratch. So these are the three basic goals of the community. Again, I would like to ask Christian to add on that, and after that we'll have the first session for your questions. So Christian.
Nothing to add from my side.
Okay, nothing to add. So we can move on. So let's clarify who the logistics community is intended for. So the rationale of the community, which has actually been formulated or defined by the core and funding members of the community, is that the community is a result-oriented working group. So it's actually a group where work is done and carried out, and it's driven by the motivation and active participation of the members. So actually, it's pretty much relies on you, current and possible future members, really willing to pushing things forward and achieving actual and tangible results. So it's more like a working group, where we focus on the content side and on developing stuff. Then especially it's not a sales platform. So we try to keep it that way. All right. So core community members of the IDS originate from the logistics domain. So example categories of these are logistics service providers. With DB Schenker, we have a good example and representative of such a logistics service providers in this webinar, but also industrial and commercial enterprises that have strong logistics functions, like you will see also ThyssenKrupp is a member of the community, and obviously ThyssenKrupp has a strong logistics function to move their steel and products. So this is very, very relevant for the community as well. But it also, as we have talked about supply chains, this also includes the suppliers and customers of industrial and commercial enterprises, because that's one of the supply chain optimization and transparency is one of the key aspects to leverage the IDS for. Also interesting category would be the providers of material handling equipment. So the organizations that not just create the products that are used by end customers, but create the material handling and production infrastructure that the aforementioned industrial and commercial enterprises use. So it's more or less another aspect of logistics. As well, standardization bodies, associations, and research organizations are welcome. You will find an example of each of these categories when we look at the actual current members in the next step. So we also have, aside from the core community members, we have associate community members that contribute their implementation expertise. So the IDS is IT infrastructure, and as a consequence of that, IT service providers will be needed to actually get things going and implemented. So are consulting firms and also certification bodies. Especially certification bodies are really important to the concepts of trust in the industrial data space ecosystem. Yeah, these are obviously involved. Yeah. Then just a quick note on the community leaders. So the community is headed by a team from Fraunhofer and DB Schenker. So on the one hand, that is Christian Tummel and myself. So we're just, yeah, more or less facilitators. So as I said, the community, the rationale is a working group. So actually it's about the motivation and active participation. And Christian, correct me, we consider ourselves as facilitators to achieve the results and not as the ones that do all of the work.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a general outline on who the logistics community is for, what type of member, if you put it like that. Now let's look at who are the current community members. So from the industry perspective, we have DB Schenker, already named that company quite some time. Then from the automotive industry, we have Audi present. Yeah, Audi is quite famous. I don't have to add on that. SICK. SICK produces sensors. SICK is best categorized as material handling equipment provider because they don't have any product, for example, that go into cars. It's different with Bosch. I think Bosch is very famous as well as an automotive supplier, and that's the role they have in here as well. So particularly partnering with Audi as a tier 1 supplier for Audi. Then we have the Salzgitter AG, which is mainly observing the activities because the representative of Salzgitter also heads the working group on architecture of the IDSA. But we agreed that to have a close exchange. Now I think maybe it's the use case and requirements working group. Not too sure on that, but it obviously, either case, it makes sense to have a close exchange. So this is why we agreed to have Salzgitter as an observer aboard. An active member is ThyssenKrupp. Yeah, the ThyssenKrupp representative also was invited to comment on this webinar. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. So, but he intended to be present here and to answer your questions as well. So this is the industry sector. From the research, we have Fraunhofer, myself, very, very obvious, involving in this, but also other institutes from Fraunhofer, like the Fraunhofer Institute for Software and Systems. And we also have a university from Ravensburg, and a more international flavor with TNO, which is kind of the Fraunhofer equivalent in the Netherlands. So this is the current research setup. We also teamed up with other initiatives. This is where we can name iShare. iShare is let's say some sort of association that focuses on identification, authorization and authentication in the logistics domain. They have strong experience in that domain, and they also have technical concepts that are similar to the ones that the IDS relies on. So actually this is a good example to illustrate that it's not the goal of the IDS, and as well not the goal of the logistics community, to reinvent the wheel. If there's something that is practically relevant and proven to be useful, may it be a standard or an initiative like iShare, we're going to team up and we're going to reuse these and try to think of ways how to integrate the different streams. And this is actually what happens with iShare. Yeah. So other initiatives are also welcome. Christian, do you want to add something on that? Maybe some more comments on why DB Schenker has taken the lead of the community and is one of the most active members in that community?
Yeah, we are one of the first logistics companies in the IDS, I think. So that we go in the lead for the logistics community was quite clear. But in co-lead with you and the Fraunhofer Institute, yeah, we are quite interested in the needs of our customers, and of course Bosch, Audi, ThyssenKrupp, and SICK and so on. All of our customers, and we get daily feedback from them. We need more transparency. We need more insight in something like ETA prediction and so on. But currently, we have, of course, same problems like other logistics companies. We do not have the data to answer all these questions, and of course, the companies have to be integrated in their in the data publishing and data exchange as well, and that's why we are interested in using the IDS technology to connect all of the companies which are involved in the supply chains and get more insight in things like ETA prediction. So that's why we are in the co-lead of the project as well.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you as the co-lead. Yeah, thanks. Maybe a bit of an outlook. So this is the status quo, but we intend not to keep it like that. So this webinar is one part of our effort to increase and open the community. So we're talking to a lot of other companies that are similar or totally different to the companies that you see on this slide. I cannot reveal the names, as you may imagine, but actually our goal is to grow the community. So if you're interested, just approach us, the IDSA. Yeah, we hope to continuously grow the community members. All right. So what does the community actually work on, and how do they work on, and how do we work on that? So for now, we have two major work packages. Work package 1 is a joint community case. So actually, it's about implementing live data flows with 3+ parties. So the motivation of that is that, especially in logistics, it's a multilateral business, and the key features of the IDS become really relevant in case the more participants are in data exchange, the better the IDS concepts support this scenario. So this is why it actually says at least 3 parties, because there are quite some use cases out there that include 2 companies in a bilateral data exchange. So this is where we want to go one step further. The scenarios of this joint community use case is the automotive and high-tech supply chains. Again, here we are in the stages defining the use case and teaming up. So if you feel like you want to join, that's still possible. And even if you come up with some new idea of use cases, the community would be probably the best place to go to look for partners and to refine and detail the ideas that you have to a proper use case. So that's our current setup. Again, still this is open for new ideas and input from your side. Second work package is a position paper, IDS in logistics. We feel like that the added value of the IDS in logistics is not that crystal clear, and especially for management communications, we want to create this position paper that says, so this is the added value in general of the IDS, and along with that, we're going to present in that position paper several use cases from our members, community members, and from other IDSA members that you can get yeah, a very practical impression of what the added value of the IDS in logistics is. So we plan to publish this position paper by the end of the year. All right, besides these two major work packages, we have some other streams that we follow up on. One of it is to get some sort of demonstrator that actually we can use at trade fairs and exhibits to illustrate the how the IDS in logistics works and how it facilitates logistics. That would be one of the tasks that we also pursue, but it's not one of the major tasks, so I haven't put it on the slide. But I just want to mention it that we also do some sort of promotion of the IDS in general that might also help to position the IDS in your company. All right, so how we work. So the community is organized to have quarterly community workshops at changing venues. So that means 4 times a year. The changing venues, we try to visit our community members just in a round robin principle. First workshop we had at Frankfurt, which is because it was in the context of the IDSA summit. Second workshop has held in Dortmund at Fraunhofer, and DB Schenker will host the next workshop. And this way it will go on so that we, best case, have visited all of our community members. So these community workshop, as I said, the community considers itself as a working group. Part of the workshops are drive work packages forward, define new work packages, align and exchange on the work packages and on new aspects that might arise, and also network. And exchange obviously relates to what I said on the gold slide, to exchange with research, but also among ourselves regarding the work packages, but also regarding other topics that are relevant. So from time to time, we have discussed like what is the role of blockchain and the IDS in logistics and stuff like that. We also have web conferences for status updates and alignments. So we know that personal attendance for the quarterly workshops implies travel expenses. So we try to reduce that to the 4 quarterly workshops and work with web conferences. And if there would be the necessity to have additional workshops, maybe on a web base or in person, maybe by subgroups, we can do that as required. So if you feel like you have a particular subtopic that you want to bring to the community and find peers to talk about this, you're very welcome to create some sort of subgroup. You can also bring your suppliers or other organizations that are currently not members of that community. All right. So Christian, as you have or at least DB Schenker has experienced all of the workshops. Can I ask you to comment a bit on that? So did that work for you for now? And what do you think about the experiences?
Yeah, I think we are hopefully on the right path right now. In the beginning of the IDS, we had the impression that most of the guys which we met are interested in sales and so on, and selling their own IT solutions as well. But now we created here the community for the logistics community, and the involved parties are interested in the use cases which we are talking about. Yeah, now we are at the point where we have to decide. Let's go the way and develop an integrated solution where every party is involved. And now it's up to the specific partners to do their part in the system. I hopefully I think everybody is doing their own job and participate in this use case as well. Yeah, maybe that works. Hopefully that works, because I think it's the right way to sharing data across several partners along a supply chain, and I'm convinced that this should be the right approach. Yeah. See what the next weeks and months are bringing. So I'm positive.
Yeah, thank you for being positive, and doing their own job is a good point to mention as well, because it's a lot of things that happen also outside these community workshops, because especially positioning and defining use cases, that checking with your organizations, finding people from business units willing to involve, that is actually, if you engage in that community as it is a working group, it's also about taking work home, not dramatically much, a lot of work, but it still requires. It's not about just showing up quarterly and have a nice chat. So as we really want to get things going and implement stuff, that is exactly what happens. What Christian said, that is also a lot of bilateral and multilateral talks outside these meetings that are here on this slide happen and have happened. So yeah, but that's good, because that is what actually brings things forward. Sometimes it's good to to align in the big group and then spread into smaller groups, to get things done. Yep. All right, I'm going to close the webinar from a slide perspective by answering the last question that we have prepared, and it's how you can get involved. And so if Christian and me have raise your interest, we would be very glad. So what is next is you should just approach us, meaning the IDSA, via the IDSA website, where you found the link to this webinar, or whoever sent you this invitation. So approach the IDSA representatives. You can also approach me. Christian, if you want, I can also include your contact data in the contact slide. I need to add that. So I don't want to do that just without asking you live in the webinar. Okay, so first of all, would be request an initial follow-up call. That would be obviously involve yourself and the representative of the IDSA, because the IDSA is actually the one that hosts and provides the frame for that community. It's the non-profit organization behind the IDS, just to mention that. And Fraunhofer, at least, Fraunhofer representative, or as well DB Schenker as the community heads. And in that follow-up call, we will discuss your expectations and the opportunities that this community brings to them. What are the requirements from your organization? And actually, what is the current expectation of the community members towards you? In addition to what I've outlined today already. So that would be just an initial 30-minute telephone call or web conference. Yeah, and based on that, you can get an invitation to get in touch with the community. So we would love to invite you to one of our community workshops. Attendance would be free of charge, and you might also attend another IDSA event. We have the IDSA Winter Days coming up. It's in March we had the IDS Summit, and we have several working groups in the IDSA. So these are a lot of opportunities to involve in the International Data Spaces Association, in addition to the logistics community, but actually that enables you to get a feeling of what it's like, meet other organizations, and get a good first expression on what you can expect if you really join this community. And if you have decided to do that, third step would be to to decide what you're actually going to do in the IDSA in general, so and in the logistics community in particular. So we would be very glad if you join the community, but on top of that, you may also become a permanent member of one of the working groups or other, let's call it, bodies and committees that the association runs. So this is the 3 steps to get involved, as easy as that. So this is it. Hope everything is clear and all the questions have been properly answered. So may I ask you, Christian, again, what is actually the expectation and of DB Schenker in the IDSA, and how do you handle the how do you align your involvement with your, let's say, other work that you have to do? Because some participants might ask themselves, so how much do I have to do? Will that will I be able to do that aside from my regular work, if you call it like that? So how do you deal with that? So what was your personal expectation? This is what I meant, and the integration into your, let's say, daily business. So
So my personal expectation regarding the logistics community is that every participant in the logistics community has a kind of freedom for realizing somehow the expected IDS use cases we are working on. So so maybe that is the only thing we want to have in this community. Not only being at the meetings and in the next meetings another guy from the company is there. A real participation in the logistics community should also be some kind of commitment. Realize the expected use cases within our community and in cooperation with us. That does not mean so much work in the end. Maybe some integration work for IT components, maybe some architectural or conceptual work, but in the end, yes, it's more than only being there and participating. It's a little bit more working on the use case, and that's what we want to have in the community if we are fair enough to tell. And that's so not so much work, but a little bit commitment has to be there to be involved in this community.
Okay, and so far you should practice what you preach. So may I ask you, so far you haven't had any issues to have that commitment and involvement yourself? So considering your other duties.
Yeah.
So you
also for the Schenker, it's not so easy to, also from my side, it's not so easy to get internally the commitment of, for example, of the IT departments internally of Schenker to get any needed IT implementation ready or whatever. But that has to be it's not such a large work in the end. For us, we can handle that. But of course, we have to identify the right parts inside of the supply chain. For example, for our involved partners in the use case, which is the right data set we have to connect and so on. That's also conceptual work, some investigative work in the end. And if we are going to implement data sources and the connection to the IDS, then we have budgets for that to handle that in the end. But yeah, of course, it's depending on the partners as well, if they're interested in the cooperation and if they have the freedom to do that. And that's what we need in the logistics community. Yeah.
So to close this presentation and webinar, here are some further resources on the IDS website that you may know. We have a flyer on the logistics community that has just been published. It's linked in here. You get the general IDSA reference architecture model on the website. So this is actually the foundation to start our adoption of a logistics data space from. And as Fraunhofer is one of the key researchers involved in the IDS, obviously Fraunhofer has a website on the IDS as well, which is not limited to a single institute, but to all of the participants within Fraunhofer. All right, so yeah. If you have any questions later on, please feel free to contact me or my colleague Onur. I'm going to add your contact details on that slide, Christian. Yeah, and yeah, I'm happy to distribute and share the slides. Yeah, so I think we can make them available on the website. All right. So for now, thank you for your time and your interest in the IDSA community. Hope to see you soon at our next community workshop or another IDSA event. Yeah, and then have a good day for now.